Aren't they lovely words? I will not leave you orphaned. Aren't they beautiful? Someone said to me when I worked in aged care, inside every person of great age is a child missing their mum. And it's always stayed with me. That wasn't what I was going to talk about, but I thought, isn't that so beautiful for today as we celebrate and remember our mums and all those who have nurtured us and cared for us. Now I'll go back to what I was going to say. During the week, I was talking to somebody who asked me, what does it mean to be an intentional vicar? That's my title, to be an intentional vicar. You know, because if you think about it, I don't know of any vicar who works unintentionally. It's a bit of a funny one, isn't it? Yeah. So I explained that an intentional vicar has a specific remit, which is to work with the congregation to revitalise and rebuild a parish, or in some situations where that's not feasible, to take the parish through the very painful process of closing the church doors. Either way, one of the key attributes of an intentional vicar is to be able to work comfortably and effectively with a community, doing the hard yards of anxiety or grief or hope, or all of the above. Reading today's psalm, the psalmist speaks timelessly into the very heart of a parish with an intentional vicar. Now, we might not have experienced all the trials of ancient Israel. I don't think that any of us has gone through slavery in Egypt or eking out an existence in the wilderness of the Middle Eastern deserts. But as a parish, we have experienced hope and profound disappointment. We've experienced pain. We've seen the community scatter. These walls, think about it, they've witnessed joy and celebration. They've also absorbed tears and fury and fear. This space, above all places, is somewhere we don't need to pretend. Now that all might sound at odds with the opening line of the psalm we heard today. Bless our God, O peoples, let the sound of his praise be heard. This sounds like something that would come from the lips of people for whom life is good, where illness or family breakdown or death have no place at the table. But these words don't come from people who have had an easy ride. The psalm names the struggle. These are people who have been trapped, weighed down. They've wondered where it all went so wrong, and surely they've been through enough already. This is praise from people who have been through the fire and through the flood, whose hair still smells of smoke, and who still occasionally cough up a bit of water. It's praise from people who can never forget the smell of a hospital corridor, or the hard conversations, or the feeling of drowning, or when prayer is not much more than a desperate whisper. But then comes the line that feels like salvation. Yet you have brought us to a spacious place. Not a place where everything is fixed, not a place where we've completely overcome grief or fear or regret, but a space where there's room to be, room to breathe, room to let go of that death grip for just a moment, room to be honest, room to be heard, room for the slow, sometimes messy work of healing and rebuilding. This is a taste of salvation in its broadest and fullest sense. Restoration and participation in the life of God. It's a safe haven where there's room to live, room to breathe, room to be. Salvation's not about denying the trauma of the fire and the water. It's about being brought to a place where we can begin to heal place of spaciousness in the very heart of God. The psalm shifts then from we to me. Come and hear, and I will tell you what God has done for me. Notice that when this testimony happens, it's after the spacious place. And arriving at this point is going to take time. It might take days for us to feel this. It might take years. There is no hurry, even if the church sometimes wants us to skim over grief or fear or worry. The psalmist doesn't rush us. God doesn't rush. The psalm finishes with this beautiful statement: God has listened. Not God has fixed everything. Not, oh, now I can understand everything and why it all happened. Not my prayers were answered when I wanted in just the way I expected. Be nice, but no. No. Simply, God has listened to us. Don't ever underestimate the power of being heard. And being heard by God is no small thing, is it? When prayer was nothing more than a whisper, when hope felt more like breath than belief, the very thought that God listened to every word, spoken or unspoken, is really something. We are in the season of Easter, and we are people of resurrection. We are a people of praise. Easter praise remembers the tomb. It remembers the locked room. It can remember the fire and the water. It remembers death and grief. The spacious place is not one where we pretend and just gloss over the hard things. But it is the mercy of discovering that sin and death do not define our story. It is the grace that welcomes us to the spacious room in the heart of God. And we can indeed say that we are not left as orphans. We are loved. There is space to breathe. There is time to heal. There is mercy to hold us. And we need never do this life alone. And sometimes that is enough.